So this is always a little risky for me because we just really don't know what's gonna happen. Honest to goodness, folks, I don't see these questions before I pick them. Thank you, Beauteous. We'll get it later. Okay, we'll just start out with this. Thank you so much. Okay. So before we do that, first of all, thank you all for playing with me. Before we do that, I've kind of taken to asking us to breathe together. So let's just take a breath. I need to breathe again because she just poured a whole bunch of new questions in there. So let's breathe one more time. And finally, one more time together. Thank you. Thank you for breathing with me. So this is how this goes. Thank you. I see. And if we don't get to all of them, what will happen is I save them, I don't look at them. I save them. I gotta turn my fan on because I know what I'm gonna get going here in just a second. Oh, did you like that? Okay. Oh my goodness, they keep coming. Okay, that's exciting. So if I don't get to your question, don't worry, because we do this about twice a year, and I always save the question. So I'm just going to pick one, and here we go. Are you ready? Does CSL believe in karma? If so, please explain. Does CSL believe in karma? If so, please explain. The answer to that is yes and no. Next question. No. We absolutely believe in karmic law. Our whole teaching is based on the law of cause and effect. For every cause, there is a corresponding effect. In fact, our founder, Ernest Holmes, calls it karmic law. And he says we absolutely believe in karmic law. So what I'm putting out, how I am showing up in the world, how I am responding, comes back to me in kind. Always, forever. No question about that. However, sometimes karma is explained as things that follow us from lifetime to lifetime. Some of the Eastern religions believe that if I'm kind of a jerk in one life, I'm going to come back as a flea in the next life. Or something is going to keep on following me. We do not believe that. We do not believe that we have a karmic debt that we need to fulfill before we can move forward. But we absolutely do believe in karma and karmic law. I want to say one more. See, this is why I don't get to very many of the questions, because I start getting these downloads of things that I want to explain to you. So, what we also believe, you know how when somebody does you wrong, and the thing that you want more than anything in the world is to see karma work in their lives so they get smacked back. You know what I'm talking about? That's not how karma works. Because we want to be able to be the one to deliver the karma, or we want to be able to see it and say, see, I knew it. It doesn't always work like that. We may not know how karma is going to show up in somebody's life. We may not recognize that at all. We simply need to know and trust that what goes around comes around every time, even if we don't think it looks like how we think it's going to look like. That make sense? Shall I move on? Okay. Here's the next one. How to become a practitioner? Okay, I can answer that question. So when I talk about our practitioners and how they're trained to serve you, this is not just something that they take a weekend course and okay, yeah, I'm a science mind practitioner. First of all, you start out by taking classes. You start out by taking the foundations class that we have starting in January, in fact, and then you take a series of other classes. And when you have fulfilled that series of other classes, which is anywhere between 18 months and 2 years, Then you are eligible to go into practitioner training. That practitioner training is deep, personal, introspective work. Am I right, practitioners? There's nothing easy about this stuff. And that's a 2-year program. So in reality, it takes up to 4 years of coursework before you can be called a licensed practitioner, where you can charge for your sessions because you have a license. It is a profession. And, okay, was that clear, first of all? And anyone who practices the art and science of spiritual mind treatment from day one, you're going to learn about that in foundations class, is a practitioner. You are just not a licensed practitioner. A licensed practitioner takes 4 years. Anybody who practices and uses science of mind is a practitioner, however, just not a licensed one. Okay, I'm going to move on. This is a long one. I don't know how. Oh, I'm sorry, I just got it. About tithing. What if that 10% is the difference between putting gas in the car or not, or paying the gas bill in full or not? How do you consistently tithe 10% when finances are that tight? I believe 100% that this is the way out, but what I hear is have faith and just do it, and that's just not good enough when there is no money for necessities. I get it. I get it. I'm a tither, have been from day one, because I believe in the law. And everything, whether it's tithing, or whether it's consciousness, or whether it's prayer, or whether it's health, or whether it's love, you start with where you are. So if a full 10% just does not work for you, what I will say to you is do 1%. Do $10. Start with something. The key to it, folks, is consistency. You don't say, oh, no, I can't. I will give when I have. It doesn't work that way. It works the other way. You give, and then you have. I swear to God, it's the honest to goodness truth. But if a full 10%, and I don't know somebody who took Prosperity Plus, if you can't do a full 10%, do something, but do it consistently and do it with love. I mean that so sincerely. If you are resentful when the basket comes around, please put your money back in your wallet. Because, we talked about karma. I don't want that energy. We don't need that energy. If you find value in what we're doing here, if this is your spiritual truth, if you consider this your spiritual home, support it the best way you can, but mostly support it with your love, support it with your energy, and if you cannot do that when the basket goes around, then don't. But the key to this is consistency. Do it consistently and with love. Did that help that person? Whoever asked that question, if you want to talk to me more about it, come find me and we'll have more of a conversation about it. And if you have ever felt less than, because we talk about tithing or we talk about supporting the center, if you've ever felt less than, then I apologize for that. I know the value of tithing. It has worked for me, it has worked for the center, and it has worked for millions of people. And if you are not there yet, then don't feel guilty about it. Do what you can, but do it with love and do it with consistency. Okay, what does the CCSL represent itself with the Interfaith Council in Calgary? What projects could the center be involved in locally? That is such a good question. I didn't know there was an Interfaith Council here in Calgary. Now that I know that, whoever asked this question, come see me also, because if you asked it, this may be a way for you to help and be in service for the center as well. Does that make sense? We absolutely are open to that. And this may be some way that you can help by providing me with information and maybe by representing the center in a way with interfaith. My understanding, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, the interfaith group that I have heard of that meets here in Calgary is pretty Christian-based. And it's like the different faiths within Christianity, and we don't quite fit there. So if the interfaith group that you're talking about is the one that will also include the Muslims and the Buddhists and the Baha'i and the Christians and the Jews and the religious scientists and everybody else, that's what I'm interested in. Okay? Moving on here. Will the new center have lots of parking? Yes! It's free and it's close. Yeah? Woohoo! Okay, here's another long one. During the time of shifting and change on the planet, I find myself questioning everything. Life, death, and everything in between. Sometimes it feels so uncomfortable and scary, I want to hide. I don't think I'm alone in this. There's a part of me that wants to shine and serve, but get stopped. Thoughts. Share. I think it may say share and serve, but get stopped. Thoughts. And then they have a much love little sign right here. Thank you for that. Right? It's a scary time right now. It's one of the reasons that I was not prepared to do a talk today, because I'm feeling this as well, and to sit down and to talk about something other than what's on my heart was kind of causing me some stress. And so I decided that you all would bring up the topics that we were going to talk about, because this is heavy on my heart. And what I know, I want to say this in the right way. This sounds like such a cliche, so forgive me for making it sound like a cliche when they say that it's always darkest before the dawn. And I believe that what is happening is that there is a shift happening. We can't be doing the work that we are doing and the consciousness expansion that we are doing and the hearts that we are touching and the love that we are teaching. And I don't just mean here, I mean on a global level. We cannot be doing that for it to be in vain. I cannot believe it. What I believe is one of the ways that the world works, call it karma, call it whatever you want to do, is that here we are, and this is moving up. Consciousness is moving up, and anything unlike it is grabbing to keep things the status quo. And it's causing what's happening right now in this earth is that this lower vibration, this lower based thinking is holding on for dear life and trying to pull the light workers down. And we can't let it happen. We can't let it happen. And if I go and hide, and I want to, I'm the only American in the group. Let me tell you what shifted. When I first moved here, almost 4 years ago, it would come out that I was American, and people would go, oh, oh, what are you doing here? Seriously, why did you move to Calgary? Why did you move to Canada? Consistently. Now, it comes out that I'm American, and you know what people go? Oh. Seriously, I've never seen anything like it. From oh to in 4 years, it shifted. So, sorry, going off on a tangent again. So, I understand the desire and the need to hide, and we can't do it. Now, more than ever, we need to do the work that we're doing. There's a phrase, an old-fashioned phrase in metaphysics called chemicalization. And that is exactly the process that I've been explaining, is that anything unlike the new idea has to come up to be healed. I have a lot of colleagues who talk about it being the shadow. This ickiness that we are seeing, and the media does not help, is the chemicalization. It is have you ever heard the phrase, the term, I'm sorry, obviously this is what I wanted to talk about today. Have you ever heard the story about the crabs in the bucket? There's a bunch of crabs in the bucket, and one of them makes its way to the top, and all the other crabs are doing everything they can to pull it back down into the bucket. I think that's kind of what's happening here, is that we're a bunch of crabs that are climbing to the top of the bucket, and others are wanting to, they're wanting to keep the status quo. Send us back 50 years and keep the status quo. So that's all I got to say about that. For now. Let's see what else happens. At what point in your life are you supposed to feel complete self-worth? Marjorie, would you like to answer this question? Yeah, her answer was now. So, life is evolution. We've talked about that a couple of times in the past few weeks. Life is about evolution. We come in here spiritually perfect. We come in here knowing the truth about ourselves. And then life happens and we forget it. We fall asleep. That's the way I phrase it, is that we fall asleep to our spiritual truth. And then we spend 60, 70, 80, 100 years remembering this. And yet the truth is, each one of us is here on purpose. We are here by divine appointment. We are here because the world is incomplete without us. You add to it, and if that doesn't bring self-worth, then, did I mention we have a foundations class that's starting in January? Because that's really a good start. That's really a good start, is to start taking our classes. And the truth is, we wake up to it. We wake up to it. Thank you. All righty, we're doing pretty good here. State of mind to be able to let in a meaningful relationship to find a partner in life. Me too! Yeah. State of mind to be able to let in a meaningful relationship to find a partner in life. Okay, I'm referring us back to the question before that, which was, at what point in your life are you supposed to feel self-worth? Here's the truth. You love yourself. You find worth in yourself. You honor yourself. You recognize yourself as that divine expression of the one, that expression of love. And law of attraction, which is another name for the law of karma, or the law of cause and effect. So I'm loving myself, I'm just loving myself, and here George Clooney comes and he can't help but find me. Yes? But church. As long as I am loving myself, I'm becoming a whole and complete apple. I'm finding my self-worth. I'm not going to find him if he's not the same. Yes? Yes. Okay. And if you know his number. How is spiritually manifested in our center, and what are the dimensions of spirituality on the Science of Mind teaching? How is spiritually manifested in our center? Thank you. How is spirituality manifested in our center? And what are the dimensions of spirituality on the Science of Mind teaching? Good question. Once I read it correctly. Our entire teaching is based on the belief that there is only one. There is only one energy, one life, one source, one life force energy, that chi energy, that underlying essence is in everything. We can't get more spiritual than that. People say, well, I want to have a personal relationship with God. I hear this quite often. I want to have a personal relationship with God. And what they really mean is, in many cases, the guy up in the sky with the flowing white beard and the flowing, okay, yeah, I want to know that that guy's taking care of me, but that isn't our teaching. Our teaching is that we are the hands and the feet of God, or the divine. That it breathes us. And we breathe in with me again. Think about God. That's how spirituality is manifested in this teaching. And the Science of Mind is all about that each of us is a unique and important aspect of God, of the divine. Each one of us. You want to know how to build your self-worth? You recognize that each one of us has the spark, is the breath, is the life of the one. That's spirituality to me, yes? Would you agree? Okay, I'm going to take just a few more and then we'll move on. Folks, I'm not going to get to them all. I'm sorry. I'm pretty good, but I'm not going to get to them all. What is subjective mind and why do I need to know about it? Who asked this question? Did I mention we have a foundations class starting in January? Actually, I'm joking, but not joking. This is a very deep question, the subjective mind, and a lot of our teaching is based on working with the subjective mind, and we cover all of that in our basic class called the Foundations class. So basically, the subjective mind is the hard drive of your mental computer, of your life. Our conscious mind is the software that we install, and then it goes down into the hard drive, and that's what runs everything. I love computers because they have made explaining this kind of stuff so much easier because we all understand what a hard drive is, right? We don't know how it works. Few people know how it works, but most of us don't know how it works. We just turn on our computer and there's programs running in the background, right? Here it is. Absolutely everything. Everything. Everything that you have ever thought, experienced, said, or seen, or heard is stored in your subjective mind, in your subconscious mind. Everything. Oh my God. Everything. And The subconscious mind, the subjective mind, let me say one more thing about that, and then you're going to sign up for class, right? Okay, this is going to freak you out. I say this almost every time I do this because it freaks me out. The real programs that are running in the subconscious mind, those things that are at the very, very depth of our subconscious mind, are belief systems that were implanted before we were 5. I want you to think about that. The programs that are running your life, my life, Donald Trump's life, were implanted before we were 5. We've got a bunch of little kids running the world, and we're part of it. Let me give you a for instance, and then I think I'll bring this to a close. So I was born on Christmas Eve, and I'm the youngest of 4 kids. And where we were living at the time, my dad was in the military, and where we were living at the time, it was a very close-knit military community. So my mom's in the hospital having me on Christmas Eve, and one of my dad's gunnery sergeants dressed up like Santa Claus and came to the house. He was 3 sheets to the wind, I'll have you know. And he came to the house to tell the news to my brother who was 6, my sister Beth who was 4, my sister Peggy who's 2, right? Mom's at the hospital having a baby, darling me, and, come on, that was funny. And here is this big burly drunk gunnery sergeant dressed as Santa Claus who knocks on the door and says, "Ho, ho, ho, I brought you a new baby sister." So my siblings, 6, 4, and 2, are now convinced that I wasn't born, but that I was brought by Santa Claus. And to make matters worse, I don't look like the rest of them. I have brown hair and brown eyes. They're all blonde and blue. And we look a lot alike now, but back then, not so much, right? So not only do they think I'm brought by Santa Claus, they're convinced I'm adopted. So they tell me, from the time I was a little something, that I didn't really belong, that I was adopted. I didn't look like them, and Santa Claus brought me. So not only do they have their belief systems that are running their computer, but I have a belief system from the get-go that I didn't belong, that I wasn't part of the family, that I was different. And that runs your life. You all know what I'm talking about, right? That kind of stuff runs our life, unless we take these base belief systems. When I say BS,